All right, it's recording. Hey guys, I'm just gonna do a quick introduction. I'm sitting
Sure.
here with Mr. Cool himself, Dr. Ryan Warren. I knew him back in college, and he was already a good person there then, but now he's a really
Even
good person.
better.
Now that he's Dr. Ryan Warren, and I mean, I'm gonna mention this at the end, but he's great because I think he's an inspiration in the sense that he's a success story. He came from Mountain. I don't know if he came from Mountain Home, but he went to school at Mountain Home with me. And there's a lot of people in this day and age of people that are just complaining about their situation. And I know we all have different crosses to bear, but he went off and he made something of himself instead of sitting in his room crying. So, and if you're doing that, you do that, but do it while you're making something of yourself.
I did a little bit of that.
Yeah, well, we all did. But Ryan, I'm really glad that you could join me on this. I know it's
my pleasure. My pleasure. 100% my pleasure.
The podcast is new, but we're just going to talk about health and fitness, and I want to talk to a lot of different people about how they can provide and how their services, how to help people live healthier lives, because I think there's a trend nowadays where, well, it's a trend of pursuing trends where there's the newest diet or there's the newest workout program, and everyone does it and they get really excited and they're telling me about it. And I'm someone who exercises long term. I'm like, oh, okay. And like, oh, this is the best thing ever. It's like, screw your thing. I'm like, oh, okay. And then 6 months later, I said, well, how's that going? I said, oh, I haven't done it.
Not doing it anymore.
So I'm really excited to help people cultivate long-term fitness.
Sure.
And of course, I have no delusions of knowing everything or even close, but I hope to provide a good resource. So I'm glad you can join us for that. If you could tell us a little bit about chiropractic and both the overall approach that most people wouldn't know other than, adjusting spines, and also give us a view on how your unique take is.
Sure. So before I get into that, thank you so much for some of those kind things you said. First of all, how does it sound? Is it a little echoey in here? Are we good?
No, you sound good to me.
Okay, good. So I really appreciate that. But I tell a funny story about you all the time.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
There was, and I'm probably going to self-incriminate myself here, but you were like the only reason I did as good as I did in college algebra, okay? Because Hampton, he would have the test like the period before me.
Right, I remember this.
And so, well, they can't take my degree away, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I did.
Anyways, so we would get together and he would show me some stuff and give me some tips, and we'd go over some algebra stuff. Because college algebra was like arguably one of the hardest classes at
Right. I learned a lot, actually. I learned a lot about critical thinking.
Yeah, I did too. And first of all, the stuff that people say is that you're not going to use algebra later. I see so many memes about that. I use it all the time in my practice, in my clinic.
Well, and also,
but anyways,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying that I 100% attribute my success in that class to you. So that's kind of how we met. I don't even know. Oh no, where we first got together was in speech class.
Right.
We kind of vibed together because we were both into health and
Cisco,
fitness,
I think.
and
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, that was such a rough class.
No, I had vivid memories of that class. It's weird what my brain picks up.
Seriously.
But I remember one of your speeches, where you said you consider yourself an expert in health and fitness, and you were into health and fitness back then.
Yeah.
And I think my end speech, we were supposed to give like a conclusion speech where we gave advice to the class. And I said, well, most of us can't lift as much as robots. And I remember you were like, ha, you can't lift as much as robots. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
All right. I'm not as much of a, if I had some of that arrogance, it's
no, I mean, you weren't arrogant. I think it was all in good fun. I don't remember our algebra teacher's name. Do you? People said he looked like Jonah Hill. That's all.
Mr. Shirley.
Mr. Shirley. I met him a couple times in Harps and stuff. He's a real cool dude.
Yeah, he's a nice dude. We're friends on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's probably going to see this. And,
yeah, sorry, Mr. Shirley. I didn't give off the answers. It was all legit. It was all legit. I made him work for it.
I mean, you weren't directly giving me the answers. You were telling me what kind of stuff I needed to know and study, you know?
Right, yeah. No, I mean, I'm joking, but I didn't, I thought it was all legit.
We didn't do anything wrong.
No, we didn't do anything wrong. No.
Yeah, but chiropractic. So a lot of people don't know that what people think of as chiropractic is neck pain, back pain, disc stuff, you know, sciatica, headaches, you know, maybe even a little bit further, but mostly neck and back pain. Chiropractic wasn't founded that on at all. Okay, the first adjustment from D.D. Palmer was given to a man named Harvey Lillard, who was a janitor at the facility he was working at as a professor or something like that. And this man came and who had some type of trauma or accident months or years prior to his head, I believe, and became deaf after this accident. And D.D. Palmer had a hypothesis and looked at him and examined him and found that the top bone in his neck was subluxated or very, very, very misaligned, and was affecting. And he had this hypothesis that if I adjusted that and got that bone, you know, in the right place, that this man's hearing would be restored. And sure enough, he adjusted him, and the man's hearing was restored.
Wow.
And chiropractic was born. It was then developed by his son, B.J. Palmer, who just grew it and grew it and grew it and grew it. It was just an amazing marketer and businessman and just all around dude. We now know, this is going to make a lot of chiropractors probably kind of mad, but we kind of know that the original philosophy of chiropractic it had a big component right, but the majority of it was kind of wrong. Okay,
right. It was starting off.
Your spine misaligns, it chokes on a nerve. Wherever that nerve is going to can not function. Now that can be the case, that can happen, but what's happening more times than not is with chiropractic, you have your spinal column, okay, which is the cervical vertebra, the thoracic vertebra, and the lumbar vertebra, 7, 12, and 5, okay. These vertebrae, you know what, I've got my spinal model right there. Let's just grab it. That's going to help all this. Okay, so encased in this. Now, this spine, the function of it, you know, as it holds, you know, all of our weight and movement and stuff like that, but it houses the central nervous system. It encases, that's the only system fully encased in bone in our body. We have protection around our organs, you know, with our ribs and stuff, but this is fully encased, okay? And the spinal column, what happens is as it becomes immobile and stops moving as well, we can affect the nervous system, which can affect the brain, which can actually affect our overall health, okay? Because you know, there's a guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm going to be honest, I totally forgot his name, but he found that 90% of the brain's nutrition came from spinal movement. Okay, so
wow,
and it also too tells your brain, you know, where your body is in space. A lot of proprioception. So you know, your skin tells your brain where you're in space. Your eyes are the biggest one, and then your joints. Okay, so if you close your eyes, if somebody closes their eyes and they're standing there, what are they doing? They're swaying a little bit.
Right.
Because now their brain
not used to it.
Eyes as much to tell them where they are. They're relying on their joints. Okay, so there's a big connection to this. When these spinal segments stop moving well, stress hormones are released. You know, you can affect the nervous system, you know, in here, and it can affect your overall health. This is why when we adjust it, we see things and improvements in not just pain, but overall wellness as well. People's allergies getting better. If you go look at our Google reviews, you'll see stuff that you can only coin as miracles. They're not miracles. I had a girl come in here had a question mark for a lumbar spine. Couldn't get pregnant after she got under care. You know, she's probably 3 or 4 months pregnant now. People who I have somebody that sees me for anxiety. So on and so forth. So it's like, where is the tie between that? And it's the nervous system, okay? Because this bony house houses the nervous system. That's the whole key on this. Chiropractic isn't about bones. that's what it's working on. It's kind of what we think about. It's actually about the nervous system, the master system of the whole body that controls everything.
Right.
Okay. And what they had right was that the adjustment affected that nervous system, but they kind of had wrong as to how it happens. Okay. Now, can we get some nerve impingement? Yes. The University of Colorado shows that it only takes the weight of a dime to shut a nerve off by 40%. We can have discs, impinging on those nerves and stuff like that. But the majority of the time, it's lack of motion, subluxation, spine's not moving right and not functioning right, which not only can cause pain, but can affect your overall health as well. When patients come in here and they're talking about pain, and I let them know right off the bat, we always want you to feel better, but the most important thing of this is your overall health. That's what we're more concerned with, because pain is only a little bit of the problem, because only about 10% of nerves transmit pain, and everything else is about function. Everything else in the body is transmitting function. So you have the brain, which becomes the brain stem, and then the spinal cord, and the spinal cord travels all the way down. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then you have the nerves coming off the spinal cord. They're just extensions of the spinal cord. So they're just an indirect connection, right, to the brain, carrying all the messages from your brain to everywhere in the body. So the messages from your brain don't get to everywhere like wirelessly, like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. We're hardwired in. Okay. Right. And the spine houses all that. It can negatively affect it if it's not functioning well. Here's the problem though, is you don't see your spine, so you forget to maintain it. Okay. Then once you're starting to feel pain is usually about the time, about age 40 is the average age that somebody goes to the chiropractor. You go and have it checked out, have it examined, maybe an x-ray taken. I kind of tell everybody that comes in and says that, have you been to the chiropractor before? Oh, no. Okay. And then I kind of explain what I just did. And I say, John, Susie, if you waited until 40 years old for your first visit to the dentist, how do you think your teeth would look? And I go, every single time, I go, probably not very well. And I say, and then if you waited until your teeth were hurting, what kind of shape do you think you'd be in? You probably already have cavities and decay. It's no different with the spine. If you're waiting until you're hurting, you're broke down, you probably already have some issues in there. So this is why we recommend kids get checked as early as possible. Kids don't need care like adults do. Kids don't get adjusted like adults do. But kids as well, we're a family practice. I see a ton of kids in here, a ton. We see from what we say, womb to tomb. So kids all the way up to elderly people. Okay, so that's kind of the overall thing. The bottom line, most simply put, I just vomited a ton of information. But bottom line is the spine houses the central nervous system, which controls everything in your body. If it's not functioning well, your nervous system isn't functioning well, okay? And one more important point about that is you have two parts to your nervous system, right? You know these two parts, sympathetic and parasympathetic, right? Right. Okay. Sympathetic is your what? Fight or flight, okay? Okay. Fight or flight, right? Your parasympathetic is your rest and digest, your relaxation, cool, and stuff like that, okay? Okay. All right. Did I say it backwards? No. Okay. All right. Make sure I don't know. Oh, you don't know? Okay. No, I don't know. I mean, I did know, but that's not something that I forgot. Okay. So it could be right. It could be not be right. I don't know. Look, I said it backwards or something. Okay. So you have your sympathetic, your fight or flight. So if I walk out of this room right here into the main part of my clinic, and there's a bear sitting right there, and he's going to eat me for lunch. Okay. That's the sympathetic nervous system, what's going to kick in. It's what increases your heart rate. It's what increases your blood sugar. It's what decreases your digestion, increases your vision and focus, and what else? Increases your blood pressure. So you're ready to fight, aka or flight from the bear. I either got to fight that bear, or I got to run from it. Okay. There's that part. Then the rest or digest part of your nervous system is the relax, calm, go to sleep, digest your food, the calm, cool, collected part, okay? Now, we can get too dominant in one of those ways, okay? Usually, as Americans, they're more sympathetic dominant because we're so stressed, okay? So sympathetics and the stress is what's really tied in together, okay? And so what did I say happened with sympathetic nervous system and sympathetic dominant? Increased blood sugar, right? Because if you are going to fight that bear, you need more energy, increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, decreased digestion. Do those sound rampant in America? They are. Those are chronic things.
Diabetes, in the Western world, really.
Digestion issues, blood sugar issues, heart issues, okay? So this is where all this stuff comes from. And so when somebody comes in here and they're sympathetic, dominant, and we can adjust them and affect their parasympathetic nervous system and get them to calm down, actually can affect their overall health, okay? So there's off the brainstem, there's this nerve called the vagus nerve. And it comes right off the brainstem, and then it wraps around the side of the first cervical vertebra. Okay, right up here. There's the skull. This is the first cervical vertebra, the atlas, and then it goes down to, then it branches and goes to your heart, your lungs, your digestion tract, your spleen, your kidneys, and everything, providing parasympathetic innervation. So this is why you adjust somebody, and you can stimulate that nerve, and people's digestion gets better. Medicine's been trying to do this forever. You know, with Parkinson's patients and people that are shaking and all kinds of other stuff, how to stimulate that nerve. They'll go and do surgery and clamp a device on it to stimulate it. Upper cervical adjustment will stimulate that thing. So what I'm getting at is some of the ties between overall health and how the adjustment stimulates, you know, some of that stuff. Is it great for pain? Yeah, absolutely. It's great for pain. But what it does that people don't realize is your overall health. So every single man, woman, boy, girl, child that has a spine needs that thing to be maintained and adjusted, because it's an essential part of your overall health. Okay.
So that's the central philosophy behind chiropractic. It's like what almost every chiropractor believes, is not, if not everything.
Every chiropractor subscribes to usually one of two things: pain-based or health and wellness-based. Okay, both of them have some value, but I feel like the pain-based misses a lot of stuff. Okay, this is how your neck hurts. You go in there, he probably doesn't take an x-ray. If, you know, he adjusts you and you feel a little bit better, and you go see him next time you're hurting. More wellness type patient that says, or wellness type chiropractor says, let's look at your nervous system, how it's functioning. Let's look at how the spine's possibly affecting that. Let's look at your diet. Let's look at the stressful things in your life, the you know, things that are messing with you, and looks at you more as a overall person, which is what we do here in our office.
That makes really the second one, just as a layman who doesn't really know as much as you about this, the second one really makes a whole lot more sense, because if your health and wellness is messed up, then you're going to have pain. So you might as well address it at the root.
Sometimes people are just looking to get out of pain. So that's kind of what they're looking for.
I get that.
So I'll get people in my office and we'll sit down and I'll discuss what we do and how we approach things. And if they don't want that, I've got some buddies that are more of a pain-based type clinic, and I'll just send them over there.
Okay, I get it.
That's what we do here. We kind of determine what's a person looking for, you know, when they come into the office, and then we make sure we get what they are looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's that was very informative. Thank you. But there's also, I've come to learn in my adult life that there's also different flavors of chiropractic and
different techniques.
Right. Because I thought it was adjustment based. That's my limited knowledge of it. But there was also this person I went to in Pineville, and I mean, he was a very nice person. I went there. I saw him. I didn't really have that big of a problem, but I had a slight pain in my neck.
Usually when somebody goes, "Oh, they were a very nice person," they're getting ready to say something that didn't go very well.
No, I mean, I mean, it'll make more sense after I tell the story. But basically, he started off adjusting me, and he had this little thing, and he was testing muscle tension. I said, okay. And he asked me some questions, and then he did this thing where he asked me to close my hands like this, and he said, okay, well, see, your left hand is just a bit longer than your right hand, or left arm is a little longer than your right arm. And I said, oh, okay. So he said, put them back, and he went like this. He said, do you know what I just did? And I said, no. He said, well, I just went into the sixth dimension, and now do it again. And I did. He said, see, now they're together. And my question was, so you changed reality to fix? No, I mean, that was my actual question. So you changed reality to make my arms the same length? And he said, pretty much. And I didn't realize that was part of chiropractic. I mean, what's going on there?
It's not. that was just placebo. Okay, is all that is. You remember those wristbands? Remember those wristbands that came out years ago that all the athletes were wearing, and they were supposed to like balance you and like
right, yeah. I still see them.
Power bands. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what these guys would do at the mall is all right, let me check your arm. Okay, it's weak. All right, let's put this band on. It's going to make you stronger. And then they push into you. See, look at this. You're balanced. You're stronger. It's complete placebo. Just an absolute joke. Okay. That's kind of the same thing. If you tell somebody, all right, I'm about to do this and it's going to be stronger, it's most likely going to happen. Or you can kind of put your weight into it like it's going to happen. Now, with that said, we can see with some of the work that we do, different changes and stuff. Now, one thing I do check is the length of the legs, but I'm checking the length of the legs not to adjust you and boom, you're balanced and you're perfect and you're aligned. It doesn't exactly work like that. I'm looking at your leg length to possibly see where things are rotated, where you're compensating, what's going on, in the spine, maybe the pelvis, we're twisted one way versus the other. It's drawing the femur up. It's not really and this is my philosophy. People are going to disagree and people are going to agree, but this is my philosophy as we use in the clinic. But to see more biomechanically as to what things, what things are going on. So I would say our clinic has a really well-versed,
well-rounded,
well-rounded, when it comes to this chiropractic thing. Is we've got the health and wellness side because we know, about the nervous system and what it does, and then biomechanically as well too, as to what's going on and what's possibly causing the patient pain.
Cool. So just to summarize the earlier part of what you said, because I've also met a chiropractor who pressed down my elbow and he would have me hold different foods to see if it was good for me. Is that necessarily part of chiropractic, or is it these individuals?
No, that is not chiropractic. Is you break the word down, the use of the hands. Chiropractic is adjusting the spine, use on the hands. Anything else is added in. Okay, that's supplemented in. Does it have its place? Is it maybe valuable for people? Yeah, I don't know about some of that stuff. I'm not an expert in it, but is that chiropractic? 100% no, not chiropractic. Nope. Massaging people, taping people, stretching people, not chiropractic. Does it have its place? Yeah. Is it valuable? Yes. Is it chiropractic? No. Does that make sense? So some people add those.
No, that makes sense.
This is why America has such a fuzzy view on what chiropractic is, because we got chiropractors doing so many different things, right? You go to the medical doctor, he does one thing. He looks at you and says, here you go, here's your prescription, or I'm referring right? So we know when we go to the medical doctor, this is what's going to happen. At a chiropractor, I don't know I'll get people in here all the time, like, what kind of chiropractor are you? Like, what do you mean what kind of chiropractor? I'm a chiropractor. Like, I'm going to adjust to you. Like, that's what I do.
Okay. No, that's actually very informative. I didn't know.
Yeah, we got so many chiropractors doing so many different things, and so people don't know what the heck chiropractic is. And so you got one guy doing this, one guy doing this, one guy doing E-stim, one guy doing this. Chiropractic is the adjustment, and that is it.
Okay, to optimize and fix the nervous system, essentially.
Well, and that again depends on what your philosophy is. Some people are going to say it's just for pain based, and some people are going to say optimization of the overall health and nervous system, which is what I subscribe to.
Okay, no, that really does make a lot of sense. And I feel like based on what you said, a lot of people, because I wanted to address all the demographics of our pages, and I feel like the people who are older and in pain, they already resonate with that. Who might, and you touched upon this, but who might not is like the young buck athlete who thinks he's the strongest person in the world. Yeah, chiropractic can help athletes and people who are increasing want to increase strength.
That's one thing I want to talk about. Your page is about strength and stuff like this. I don't have the article with me, but I will get it to you. Mm-hmm. They did a big study with strength before adjusting and after adjusting, and showed in populations of how well that helped increase your strength and well-being in that manner. You'll have to check it out. It's pretty interesting stuff. And every NFL team is required to have a chiropractor. Every NBA team
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's super interesting.
Yeah, if you Google it, there's pictures of Blake Griffin getting his neck adjusted, on the bench. There's
Okay.
What's his name? Aaron Rodgers. His dad's a chiropractor, and he swears, by his success to a chiropractor. Michael Jordan.
Right.
One of the quotes that a lot of chiropractors use a lot is, how do you stay? I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but how do you stay so functional? Or how do you stay so, fit or something like that? And he's like a really good chiropractor. So, all those sports teams and high level athletes, I guarantee they're seeing a chiropractor.
No, I mean, for me, I don't know about people who are listening, but for me, that makes complete sense because your muscles are just there. If the nerves aren't there to fire the muscles, then nothing's going to happen. So if you optimize the nervous system, of course, that's going to improve performance.
Absolutely.
Now, for the average person who hasn't seen a chiropractor, say in his mid-20s, let's say he plays soccer, or it doesn't really matter. Just to give them a ballpark, if you're listening to this, how much improvement and in what way could they benefit? How much improvement would they see from going to a chiropractor first visit?
Well, they guaranteed would see improvement, 100%. Now, as to what that is, it's based on what's going on with them. So you can't put a number and say you're going to see 30% speed
of course,
from coming to see me and get adjusted. What you can do is evaluate their spine and treat that, and then the effects of whatever happen. But especially with athletes, they take trauma. Soccer players going to take trauma to that spine, slipping, getting kicked, shots. Soccer. I played soccer at Mountain Home. Soccer is actually a pretty physical game. People don't really realize, and you take a lot of trauma. So getting that spine checked out and making sure it's functioning well would be more essential than treating them for increased performance. Okay, so you're treating their spine, and then the effects of it come from that. You're not treating the increasing the speed or this or that. That makes sense?
No, that makes complete sense. And I already understand that, but I worry that some people think, well, they hear the word wellness, and they're like, well, I'm pretty healthy. I don't need anything. Some people only want to go after and say, well, I can lift 10 pounds more.
That's one of my favorites. Okay. We cannot base our health based on how we feel. Okay. It is the most dangerous game you can play. All right. You ever known somebody that's looked fine or felt great and had a heart attack?
Yeah. Died soon thereafter.
What do they call heart disease? The silent what?
The silent killer, I thought.
Exactly. Okay. You ever known somebody that's looked fine, felt great, went to the doctor and had a checkup and found out they had breast cancer, colon cancer?
Yeah. All the time.
We cannot base our health on how we feel, because health is not about how you feel. Health is about how your body's functioning and working and adapting to the stresses in the environment around it. It's not about how you feel. You can feel fine and have cancer. You can feel fine and have heart disease. You can feel fine and have all sorts of issues. So I get that all the time. And you can't base your health on how you feel. It's all about function, how your body's working and adapting. And the next thing people want to blame their health on or think that it comes from is their genetics. Okay. Right. So mom had this, dad had this. So I'm going to have that, or that's why I have it. No. Okay. What Harvard medical research shows is that only about 9% of diseases are genetic. Everything else is from lifestyle. Okay. So
9%, that's incredible.
Blame that. Yes. Yeah. And so what typically happened is, I had a good example of somebody with diabetes doing the exam on them. Yeah. Oh, I have diabetes. I got it from my mom and my dad. And so I shared that with them. I'm not as intense with a patient. I'm very, very,
I get it. Yeah.
I'm getting on my soapbox right now, but I explained that to her and said, what most likely happened was you learned your habits from your mom and your dad.
Exactly.
And you inherited those habits, and those lifestyles are what caused you to come down with diabetes. Okay?
Right.
Most genes have the ability to turn on or off based on the environment that they're in. Another thing Harvard medical research shows. So we may be predisposed to some of that stuff, but that gene it gets turned on by something, and this is groundbreaking stuff. And so a crappy environment may flip that on, and that can be chemical stressors, emotional stressors, physical stressors, and things of that nature. Okay. So you can't blame your health on your genetics, not how you look, or how you feel.
Okay. That brings up an interesting point. And I thought of this when you were doing the history on chiropractic. Now, the people you mentioned, how long ago was that? 100 years ago, 150?
The 1800s.
1800s. Okay. So the need for what's become known as chiropractic adjustment, is that a modern thing, or have we always needed this and then we've suffered for millennia?
So I believe, there's some kind of, what's the right word for it? There's some kind of disagreement or argument that he kind of stole that, and that it's actually come from some ancient Chinese method, that dates back years and years and years. I don't know which way it goes, but the actual use of manipulation by hands of the spine came, from years and years and years before that. I think it's even dated back and recorded back in the, ancient ages. But as far as before that, that's a great question. What was going on? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But the need for chiropractic has always been there, just like the need.
Okay. To brush your teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just gotten better,
Right.
Well, I mean, to brush your teeth, but back in the day, did everybody probably brush their teeth right? Probably not.
Right. Well, I mean, I bring that up because there are some problems that, whether right or wrong, people blame on the modern lifestyle. We've become more sedentary and we've become more technology focused, we've been forward. And some things are caused by that. But brushing your teeth, we do it more often now, and we've only benefited in a good way because of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. I'm gonna start using that in the clinic.
Right. So, to balance off what we were saying about how some other chiropractors did and how some things weren't necessarily chiropractic, I've noticed a lot of chiropractors that I've known and some that I've gone to have mentioned supplements and nutrition. What is your view on that? And is there necessarily a chiropractic way to view it?
Okay, great question. So again, chiropractic's all about overall function and wellness, and that's a big part of it, but it's not the core of chiropractic. It is something a lot of people add into their practices, and it's totally essential part. But here's what happens. Here's what's going on nowadays is there's, just like you were saying when we first got talking, there's a new diet, there's a new fad, there's a new this or that, but everybody's different. Their genetics are different, their gut microbiome is different, and everybody's different. So not the same thing doesn't work for everybody. That's why I see on Facebook, I tried it, didn't work for me, blah, 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 because that's not what works for you. But supplementation, the correct diet for you, and all that stuff is essential. You can't be healthy without the putting the right stuff in your body. This is like that speech I gave in speech class, ASUMH, is that your body's a Ferrari. You were perfectly designed by God to be a Ferrari, just be an all-out performance machine. What kind of fuel do you put in a Ferrari? The freaking premium fuel. Okay, if you put in the crappy unleaded, at the sit-go, you're not gonna perform at your best. So that part is huge. It's a huge, huge part of it. What we do at our office is really simple. I just don't have we're very high volume practice. I see between 30 and 60 people a day in just 6 hours. Okay. So I don't have time to sit and go over somebody's diet with them as much as I would love to. So I've written over the last 3 or 4 years, a nutrition guide. I can post it, and your followers are more than likely to have it, or more than welcome to have it. That I can give to them. That gives them some recommendations, the type of water they need to drink, some things that they can eat when they're out eating. That'd be a better choice for them. Some recipes that they can make at home. I'm a family guy, got kids. It's hard to eat the right way. My kids eat the right way, so I have some of that stuff in it. So when people start asking me about diet, I'll give them a little bit of tips while we're here taking care of them, but I'll usually just send them with that nutrition guide.
Okay. Are you a proponent, or do you support the use of supplements like calcium pills?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a blanket thing. I mean, I take supplements every day. There's things that are just the American doesn't get in their diet. Magnesium's a big one because we don't need enough green leafy vegetables. I know I don't. Omega-3s and all the omegas and vitamin D, and all that stuff. So I supplement with some of that stuff. I mean, it depends on what kind of supplements, that you're talking about.
Okay, cool. But just a blanket answer, you do take some.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Standard Process is the company I use, and the stuff that I get for people and use in my family and household. They have like this amazing farm, and they naturally source all their stuff and make their own stuff. And it's like pretty inexpensive. I don't know how it's so inexpensive with, them kind of being an all-in-one stop, shop. It doesn't come from overseas with a bunch of crap in it. It's naturally sourced. It's, the stuff's taken care of the right way, and that's how they get their supplements.
Okay, cool.
Standard Process, that's what it's called.
Now, you're pretty physical guys. Do you believe in the protein shakes? Do you take certain shakes, supplement your exercise?
I don't. If you look at a lot of the protein companies, there's a lot of fillers in there. There's a lot of pro-inflammation things. There's a lot of just crap in there. If you really research it and look at some of this stuff, everybody needs protein. That's just of course. It's just a given. We need that in our body. The best one I found is a bone broth protein. If you can find one of those, that's the one I've been most comfortable with. But just going down to the old Walmart and grabbing a tub of the protein there is probably not your best option. But I think it has a time and place. I do sometimes, but in my natural just day to day, I don't.
No. I don't know how many people know this about me, but I don't take protein shakes either. And I mean, I think like a lot of things, it's a fad, and someone saw an opportunity to make a killing selling this.
You beat me to the point. I was just going to say it was a fad. When everybody's going to the gym and lifting weights and you got to get so much protein in a day to build muscle and do this or that.
Right.
No,
no, I mean, some people might be angry at me for saying this. I don't think the amount of protein that some people say we need is necessarily true. Like some people say we need
100%. It's not true. You're right.
Like they're like 200, 300 grams a day. And then it's like, I don't get that.
What about your digestive tract and your liver and all that stuff? That's where you can't judge your health based on how you look comes in, because there's so many guys. Oh man, at I won't say where it is, but where I used to work out in Mountain Home, and it was like, just about getting big and ripped and not building long-term longevity, and health. And you can manipulate your diet to look great, but not be healthy.
No. Well, that's a big problem in fitness, and I hope I can make some kind of impact. And I hope you can too. Before I die, it is just how fitness is it's so look based. I understand. I'm sympathetic to it in a way. Some people think they're too fat or they're too skinny. That's why they get into fitness, is they want to change how they look, which is fine. But I think, just like you were talking about, if you fix how you actually are, if you fix your actual health, your looks can represent that. And then if you want to shave off, some chub, then you can do it in a healthy way. But everyone is just like, well, this person looks healthy. Or, look at how many bodybuilders die young, from heart attacks.
It's all the media. It's just media and social media and TV ads and just, it's all that crap. You ever seen a guy that looks a little bit chubby, but who's killing it in the marathon, and he's in incredible shape?
Right.
He's functioning well. He's healthy,
Right.
Well, that's what it's about.
There was this, I don't know if it was an article or something, but it was during one of the Olympics, and they were talking about the Olympic swimmers, and they were like, oh, well, these people, they were talking, there was this female lifeguard, and they wrote an article about her. And I was like, well, at least she gets to look at somewhat fit people. And I was like, well, that's an Olympian. These are some of the fittest people on the planet. But I guess because they saw them and they didn't have what we consider ripped abs, a lot of them are muscular, but they also have a healthy amount of fat on them, that they figured this isn't healthy. This isn't necessarily the fittest you could be. Whereas for their sport, that's close to optimum performance.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, that was something.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I think I'll bring up some of the questions that people posted.
I was just going to say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength. If
we are, man.
So,
we're vibing.
if you're listening to this and you posted some questions, thank you very much. I got one just now. They said, can chiropractic help foot or ankle pain?
Absolutely. It's kind of a simple answer, but yes, I probably adjust 10 to 20 feet in here a day.
Okay.
So I adjust a lot of feet. Your feet are where you get some of the most proprioception from, as to where your body's telling your brain is where it is in space. So those joints can get locked down. I've got a runner that comes in here just to get his feet adjusted.
Okay.
I keep telling him when he adjusts his spine too, but he comes in here just to get his feet adjusted. So I adjust a lot of feet. I adjust a lot of ankles, and get good results with it. So yeah, absolutely, it can help ankle pain, foot pain. I would say go to somebody, and maybe if you're looking for a chiropractor that can adjust your ankle and feet, call that office and ask, does your doctor adjust a lot of feet? And talk to the doctor. The girl up front's probably going to say, oh yeah, he does. But talk to him and maybe talk to the doctor, or have a consultation with him and talk about it with him, and see if he knows if he comes across as he knows what he's talking about.
Okay. So you actually directly adjust the feet and the ankle, as well as do some work on the spine if you are given the option that can help the lower body.
And that's mainly so when we're adjusting the spine, okay, based on different directions, vectors of force, from the left to the right, from up to down, different ways. When we're mobilizing a joint outside of the spine, it's not going to really have a specific vector of force too much. It's not as specific. It's more of what we call a manipulation and getting that joint moving well.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Same thing if you pop your thumb. We wouldn't consider that an adjustment. You just manipulated the joint enough to make some gas come out.
Makes sense. Another person asks how adjustment can help improve the immune system.
That's such a great question. This is one thing I'll use a recent example. I had a lady, sweet lady, she's been my patient for 2 years. She comes in sometimes several times a week, sometimes once a week. And she said, she's Hispanic. So she said, Dr. Ryan, I have to tell you something. Every time she comes in, she has to tell me something. She said, I have not had allergies in 2 years. And I was like, that's amazing. It's from getting adjusted. Because I'll use the example of allergies, but we're talking directly about the immune system. So with allergies, why would, let's say, Hampton, you're allergic to a grass and I'm not. So when you go outside, you start getting the allergy stuff, okay? Why is it that you are and I'm not? It's because your body's recognizing it as foreign and sending out histamine to attack it. That's your sympathetic nervous system firing, okay, to attack. So what do you take when you have, you shouldn't, but what do people take when they are having allergies? They take an antihistamine, to block all that histamine that's being released, okay? And that's directly from the nervous system, and that's overfiring and overstimulated. And so the adjustment can help calm some of that stuff down. Okay, so the spine controls the nervous system, and the nervous system or the brain controls the nervous system, but the spine has a direct effect on the nervous system, and the nervous system has a direct effect on the immune system.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The person.
Let me be a little bit more specific.
Please.
So if somebody comes in with what I think is immune thing, so I never tell anybody, like, there's not an immune adjustment. There's not an adjustment for, acid reflux. There's not a special secret adjustment for this or that. We adjust the spine in the areas that have problems, and then if those things get better, they do, and the majority of the time they do. But if I'm being specific about it, and somebody comes in with allergies, I'm probably going to adjust them in the top of their neck, where that parasympathetic innervation is, like I was talking about earlier, to help stimulate the parasympathetic to rest, digest, calm down.
Right. And your adjustments, they can also directly help, not necessarily allergic reactions, but also just prevent illness, perhaps? Like someone gets sick a lot.
Well, I'll say this, and that's not something that I can put a claim to. What I can say is, from my own experience, my family, We don't have a pediatrician. We in the last 3 years that we've lived here in Northwest Arkansas, we have had not a single trip to the doctor for an illness. Maybe one because it was extreme,
Right.
Something that was a little bit more, over the top maybe, but I can't think of one. But so and I adjust, the kids, once a week, a couple times a week. But I see the people that are getting care regularly. What we see in our clinic is those tend to be healthier people that aren't complaining of sickness coming down with this or coming down with that. Can I definitively say that the care here is causing that? No, because also too, those people tend to be healthier people in general. People that are doing stuff regular, they're doing other stuff regular as well. But scientifically, the adjustment has been shown to affect the immune system. They've studied it in cancer patients. Another thing I could share with you, where they adjusted and then measured the T helper cells, and those were increased. So scientifically, can I say somebody's going to be more well, by getting adjusted? Yes, based on some of that stuff. I'm getting really into it and really, really specific, but yes, somebody will be more overall well, getting adjusted.
Right. And I mean, there are some things that perhaps we can't, or maybe we shouldn't state yet, but I mean, for me, just my opinion as a layman, I absolutely believe that. I mean, and everything in our body kind of affects the other in some way. I mean, if nothing else, if you're stressed out and your body is working overtime because you're in pain or you're off kilter, of course that's going to affect your immune system. If nothing else, just because it's using energy, that's energy your body can be using to fight off viruses and bacteria.
So the simple answer is, and that's just such a tough question to answer, but the simple answer is yes. But I'm going to tell you need to do some other things too. You're not going to come in here and adjust you and then go, you're good. Keep eating your crappy food and drinking your crappy water and doing your crappy stuff.
Right. That's what everyone wants.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The easy, quick fix. But so yes, you're going to be more well. Yes, it will affect your immune system. But there's more to the story. It's a big thing, but there's a lot more that goes into it.
Okay. I got you. Yeah. This person asks if a patient with known osteophytes can get adjustments from a chiropractor.
Okay, so an osteophyte is just a bone spur. Most people have bone spurs, don't even know that they have them. They're usually asymptomatic, okay? However, does that mean something is going on? Yeah, that means something's going on in the body, and you have those bone spurs because your spine's not functioning well and it's degenerating. So osteophytes are a part of degeneration, degenerative arthritis, okay? And what that's doing is those segments are unstable. They're not moving well. They're not functioning well. The body's laying down more bone and more calcium sometimes to try to stabilize it. Sometimes it'll completely fuse it together on its own. So that's what's going on. So I would actually say you need to be seeing a chiropractor more.
Right. Okay.
Because you're having some issues in your spine. I'm starting to see, bone spurring and severe arthritis in young patients.
Like 20s, teens?
Yeah, early 20s. 22 years old, stage 3 degenerative arthritis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So
everybody's sitting on their butts nowadays. They're not moving.
Right. Well, you heal, you definitely heal a little bit when you move.
Absolutely.
Is there a point of no return?
Yes. If you come in the office and we take some x-rays and you're stage 4, I have to refer you to the orthopedist. I can't help you.
Okay. And stage 4 would be
just completely ridden, disc, just almost gone. It's starting to fuse together, just complete numbness or radiating pain down your legs. And you're just an absolute, absolute mess. But we tell that. I tell everybody when we first see it, hey, I'll tell you if I can help you. I'll tell you, if I can't.
Right.
Yeah, if they're that far gone, yes, there is a point of no return. Now, that is a very minimal of cases. I think I've probably had 2 people in here in the last year that I said this is probably a little bit too advanced for us to help.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, so basically, if at all possible, get to a chiropractor as soon as possible, just before you get to the point of no return?
Well, so people don't think of taking their infant to the chiropractor, and this is why. They think they see all these videos on YouTube of people getting their necks cracked and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, there is no way in hell I'm taking my kid to have that done. That's not how it happens with a kid, and I can't stand some of these chiropractors on YouTube just completely devaluing my profession. And I won't even name them, but you guys know who I'm talking about. All those satisfying videos that you guys watch, I just want to absolutely strangle those guys. I don't think violence is the answer, but I would strangle those guys. Anyway,
violence isn't the answer, but strangulation, that's okay.
Yeah. But anyways, okay, when a baby is born, first of all, we had our child at home, so we didn't have to go through this. But when a baby is born, the doctor's pulling him out, him or her out. Research shows they have to put 80 pounds of pressure on the baby's head and neck with a pull and a twist to get that baby out of the birthing canal.
Seems very high.
And we check this is where I get a little bit just heated and just on a soapbox. We check everything after birth. We check heart rate. We check, temperature. We check, are they jaundiced? Are their eyes working? Can they hear? All this stuff. Nobody thinks to check that thing you just got yanked on in your spine after birth. Why? And then we start seeing ear infections and also another thing research chiropractic can show ear infections in children and all this stuff. So I would say have your child evaluated by a chiropractor the second they are born. And they may not even need an adjustment up there, but it's at least good to check. I just had an infant in here 2 weeks ago, a girl I've been taking care of throughout her whole pregnancy. She says, I'm going to get the baby in here as soon as I get out of the hospital. I was first of all like, well, don't go to the hospital, but she wanted to, so she went to the hospital, had the baby, and she comes in here, a few days, 2 or 3 days after the baby's born. We check the baby, and the baby's not turning her head one way. Little tiny adjustments. The pressure on what is comfortable on your eyelid is what babies get adjusted with. Little tiny, just little. Okay.
So very gentle, just to reassure some people.
Check the pelvis as well, and good to go. Kids don't need care like adults do that have just beat themselves up and sat on their butts their entire lives. I have another kid in here. This is such a great story. I will tell patients what they're going to experience before they walk out. Sometimes they're like, yeah, right. And then it happens. So he comes in here and this kid is like all over the place. He's like, shoo, running in my clinic, just back and forth, just all over the place. This kid is just like 90 to nothing. First of all, I tell her, okay, what's this dude eating for breakfast? Second of all, you all right?
Yeah.
Good on sound?
Yeah. Someone was shouting outside. They're not shouting at me.
We're shouting outside?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Anyways, he's going back and forth. He's going like crazy. Okay, so and he's sick. He's got lymph nodes. Just you can see these lymph nodes just from a mile away. You can tell this is just a sick kid. And so mom brings him in, and she's like, yeah, he's having this problem. So would you like me to look at him? Yeah, okay. And she's hesitant about it. And I feel his upper neck, and his upper neck is just a mess. And I even let the mom feel it. I'm like, run your hands right down here. You feel anything? She's like, oh my gosh, I feel it right here. I said, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to adjust this kid today. And she's like, he won't take a nap, nothing. He won't sleep. He stays up all night. And I said, okay, don't freak out. This is a true story. Go on our Facebook and read it from the mom. I'm going to adjust him, and he is going to crash when he gets home. He's going to sleep for hours. Don't freak out. He's going to sleep for hours. She's like, okay, yeah, but you can tell she doesn't think much of it. I adjust this kid. His eyes get about this big around. He's like, whoa, like that was cool. And then he goes home. She comes back the next day, instantly comes right over to me. And she's like, I just can't wait. I got to tell you, Dr. Ryan, I got to tell you. She goes, he went home and slept for 4 hours. He's never taken a nap in his life. He slept for 4 hours. She's like, I went in there to check on him to make sure he was still alive. I told you. We had a girl in here. I mentioned her earlier, but I'll tell her story a little bit more. Took a picture of her. She comes in here. She was referred from another girl that I used to work with at a different office, who got the big picture of chiropractic and couldn't get pregnant. And she couldn't figure out why. Done all this stuff, all these doctors and this and that. I think she'd even tried a couple of drugs, just tried everything. take a picture of her low back, and it's just like in a question mark. Just okay. That part of the nervous system controls your uterus, your reproductive organs, your digestion, so on and so forth. I was so confident, and that's what was causing her condition, that I told her, I said, if you start care and we start working on this thing, you will be pregnant before it's over in 90 days. And she's like, are you serious? And I'll be honest with you, I was like, holy cow, I just made a big, big statement right there. And so I even told myself, if that doesn't happen, I won't charge her a dime for her treatment. That's how confident I was that it was going to happen. So we get under care, we get a month into care. She's like, I'm pregnant. And she's super excited. And she goes to the doctor, and it was false. She wasn't pregnant. I don't know how that happened, but she went and then had a blood test, and then she wasn't. I said, it's okay. We're doing the right thing. It's going to happen. Another month goes by. She starts to get a little bit discouraged. Even prayed with her as well. And then we just kept going and gave her some more stuff to do at home. And then she comes back, and boom, she's pregnant, and it's already been like verified, via ultrasound and blood tests and everything. And I think she's going to have her baby here in a few months.
Great. That's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing that.
We see a lot of really cool stuff like that here in the office.
Right. Oh, and I do want to mention, I did want to bounce off a couple of the things you said, but I might as well get to the last question. It was about, do you know anything about Zytos scanning and bioresonance mats?
I will say I do not. And if I were to try to talk about it, it wouldn't be correct. So it's not something that I could answer confidently. So I would say no.
Yeah.
Biofeedback a little bit, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Not enough to sit here and give an opinion or stuff about.
Okay, cool. Well, no, I wanted to mention, because that was just trying to see if anyone chimed in. No, that was a really good story, and you've helped people like that, and really it's life-changing for some people. Helping someone have a kid where they otherwise couldn't is life-changing. Do you get any pushback on your business? Because for me, I've always been very accepting of chiropractic, but that's because of how my family was, people I hang out with. But
as far as from other medical professions, or
yeah, exactly.
A little bit. I'll get somebody in here that usually our patients here, they're like gung ho about it. Like they're like she's like, what did she say? She had a cough and she was sick. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to a chiropractor after this. She's like, she's like, my doctor told me I should probably take a break. She was like, I'm not taking a break. There's no way I'm taking a break from going to see him. But a little bit, nothing directly. I just sit in here and do what I do and just let the results speak for themselves, like the patient testimonials speak for themselves. I really don't care. I hate medicine. I'll boldly say that. I don't care. I think it's the most messed up, just awful system. I get people in here that get stuck in it. They can't get out of it.
Yeah.
They bounce around from doctor to doctor with no answer and just ridiculous. I got a lady in here who's been a wellness patient forever. She comes down with a rash. She couldn't figure out, she's just bounce around, giving this drug. One drug made it worse. And it turns out, so I told her two things. I said, because where it was located, I said, it's either fungal or you're having a reaction to one of the medicines that you're on. And she's like, okay. And then so she got some antifungal and it got better, but it still wasn't going away. She did a little bit of research on a couple of medications that she was taking, and one of them was hives. She stopped taking it. The rash completely went away. She's like, right. I cannot believe my chiropractor solved my rash. I've been to 3 different doctors, And it's just because we took the time to sit down real quick and chat about what was going on, what she was doing in her life, and this and that. You don't get that in medicine. You don't get that 9 times out of 10.
They don't care about, a lot of times don't care about life
and this and that. Yeah. And so I'll get people in here, what I explain to them, you have to explain what, I asked my doctor about a chiropractor and they said it wasn't a good idea. First of all, you got to stick in your lane. Okay. Medical doctors don't do chiropractic, so they don't need to be making a recommendation on it. Okay.
You don't even know what it is sometimes.
Making a recommendation on medicine, because I don't do it. We need to stay in our lane. I don't make a recommendation on dentists. Okay. They don't have the time and the place. Medicine has a time and place. Dentistry does. Everything does.
Of course.
We need to stay in our lanes. But I actually have very good relationships with a lot of medical professionals around here. After I've invited some of them to the clinic, sit down and talk about what we do here. And some of them actually refer to me because in medical clinics, they don't do anything for low back pain except pills or surgery. So if they're on the page of doing something a little bit more conservative, they're usually on the page, with that. It's usually, and I don't want to be stereotypical, but it's kind of true. It's usually an older guy, an older gentleman that'll, say to steer away from it, but why? When I might get them better for a quarter or an eighth of the price that you're going to charge them.
That's why. That's why.
Keep them out of surgery for a while. Yes, exactly. So maybe a little bit from patients, but overall, overwhelmingly, no. Not really in our day and age. People are gravitating more towards natural health and wellness and well-being. So
the truth will come out.
I don't get a whole lot of pushback. I try to stay really well educated and up to date on some of that stuff. As overall health as well. So no, not really.
Okay, no, that's great. Well, and I think people like you are. You're furthering the cause of people accepting natural medicine because there are a lot of people who, and they're also older, for whatever reason, who are in natural medicine, and the stuff they do is just amazing. And I know a lot of people here, and they do great work, but the way they explain it is not scientific. Okay, and it doesn't mean it doesn't work, but they're mentioning things that are either false or misleading, and that leads to people not believing it, even if their method works. So if you can sit down and you explain the scientific reasons why this works.
You mean like putting somebody's hands together and one being longer or shorter, like stuff like that?
No, well, well, the thing is, no, I only went to that guy once. My friends had good results with him, but my question at the time was, well, if you can alter reality, why are you just changing the length of my arm? There's so many other things you can alter.
You alter my bank account.
Well, and he also made this nom 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 sound, and stuff like. Now I'm not saying he hasn't done good work, but stuff like that is what leads some people to not believe in that. So whereas someone can sit down and explain.
Here's the thing: if people are going to see him and they're getting good results, who cares? Right. Who cares what he's doing?
Well, again, that's why I mentioned he's a good guy. I'm not saying anything.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm joking and being, joking around and stuff. But he'll have people in his office that swear by what he does. And so, who are we or anybody to say that doesn't work? If that works for them, fine. It may not be something I subscribe to, but if that works for them, fine. I'll get people that come in here that tell me they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff for whatever's going on with them, but they swear by it. If it works for you, that's fine.
Right.
I want you to feel your best and function your best. And if that's what you think's helping you.
All right, man. No, how are you doing on time on your end? Do you have a time crunch?
I got nothing but time.
No, I have plenty of time too. The only thing is I'm supposed to only have a certain amount of thing, but it's a certain amount of recording space, but it hasn't given me a thing.
I know that usually happens on Zoom. I was waiting for that to happen too.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. I paid for a pro plan, so.
Oh, okay, you're good.
Yeah. Because I was like, well, I might as well knock out several of these in a month. It's just me talking. I'll probably just do one and another, and I just forget about it until it charges my card again next month. I'm like, oh well, shouldn't have done that. No, but since we're going towards the end, I wanted to mention that I thought of this when you were talking about it. Because I remember when you posted on Facebook, I think, that your kid was born, and you mentioned it was a home birth. And I realized they had existed, but I think that was the first time one of my friends had a home birth. And I was like, I really want to do that.
When I tell people we had a home birth, or we had our baby at home, they're like, on purpose? Or did you just not make it to the hospital? It's like, no, it was on purpose. We had a lady come knock on it. So it was total chill. There was kids coming in and out. It was crazy. But there was a kid playing in our backyard, I think, with our son, and he goes home and tells his mom, they just had a baby at their house. The mom comes over and knocks on the door I heard you just had a baby. Is everything okay? Like, she was like, you guys need anything? Well, I was so sweet, but I mean, you could tell she was concerned. She was like, it was on purpose that the baby was here. And like, that's just how like medically brainwashed we are, that having a baby,
certain way,
this emergency thing that it has to be scheduled on the doctor's time for an induction, and it needs to be a certain way, and you got to do a certain type of stuff. And if the woman's too small, you got to slice her belly open and rip the baby out. It's just complete bull. It's just, your body was designed to work. Birth is a natural thing, and it's actually, this may make a couple of people a little bit upset, but your labor is going to actually be less intense if you let it go in and happen naturally, right? So my wife, this was her third child by birth, out the birthing canal. And the first two, she was induced, okay, younger, didn't know what we knew. And she said it was 20 times more excruciating with induction than it was having the baby naturally, because it came on its own. You're not forcing the contractions, and the contractions are a lot harder with being induced because you're forcing the baby out. The other way it's coming at its natural time. And so another thing that happens is women go, well, I'm past my due date. My due date. They're going to have to induce because I'm past my due date. Your due date is usually wrong. It's estimated.
Right.
Ours.
It's not inscribed on your uterus.
Yes, I know. It's like, fuck. So like ours, like what was done by, what was estimated was, like we were like 4 or 5, weeks past. It was like, okay, the induction date came and went, and we were like, the baby's going to come when it's big enough, and the water breaks and so on and so forth. And, that due date was false. It was about 4 weeks. It was about 4 weeks off. So what's happening a lot of times is that due date's about a month off, and women are getting induced and having their baby forced to come out. And then they wonder why their child has health problems and
interesting.
And stuff like that. It just leads to a cascade of stuff. It's just we're just fear mongered to death by the medical system. Right. That birth is just this crazy, scary thing, and it's not. It's really not. Me and the midwife, I got to get my hands in there and help and do stuff, and we
awesome.
Another thing it is, as the baby was born, and Anja's water actually didn't even completely break until the baby was halfway out. So that's another thing.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, my water didn't break. Well, a lot of times that this stuff's coming out and that finally just bursts right towards the end. So another thing is kind of a misconception on. I watched it, like the baby was still kind of in the sack, and it just kind of, and then all of it came out. And don't want to be too graphic, but it was just like,
no, please.
It was awesome.
It sounds awesome.
It was so awesome. And then what we did is we left the cord, and then my wife birthed the placenta, and that came out, but we left the cord attached because a lot of times there's still some remaining blood and stem cells that need to come out of that placenta into the baby. And a lot of times we cut the cord way too fast because it's so rushed. It's like the doctor's like, all right, we'll get this baby on, get this cord cut, move on to the next one, right? And that's just not how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be rushed on the doctor's time or anybody's time. It's supposed to be,
on the baby's time.
On the baby's time, yeah, and on God's time, what I say.
Right.
We left the cord attached, and what you do is you wait. It's called delayed cord clamping, and what you do is you wait. You can feel the cord pulsating. You can feel the blood going into the baby, and you wait until that cord stops pulsating, and then you cut it. Then what's believed is that the remaining stuff from the placenta has made it into the baby.
Okay, so that's really interesting. I mean, I always say to people that we all come from a long line of people who've had kids, so you think we'd be good at it. But you mentioned the 4 weeks thing. So would a standard time actually be 10 months instead of everyone thinks 9 months?
From what I've read and understand, it seems the average estimate seems to be about 4 weeks off. So it's still the 9 month period, but they're estimating that due date 4 weeks earlier. So your inception was actually earlier, or your baby's not as far along as what they think, or so on and so forth. That is an estimation. People hold that due date to like no end. That is an estimation.
Right. It's not from God. It's someone's estimation.
It is an estimation.
Okay, so there we go. I'll quote you on
that.
So
we did. Here's what we did. We did have an ultrasound. The ultrasound due date. So my wife did it based on her last menstrual cycle, and then we got one from the ultrasound. The ultrasound was 4 weeks off. The one based on my wife's menstrual cycle was 1 day off.
So far more accurate.
Far more accurate.
Far more accurate. Great.
Because they get the ultrasound, they measure the baby. Oh, they measure this many centimeters, and the baby's this far along. And, oh, you're this right. Blech. Your estimated due date based on the baby's size. I don't want to go down that road, but just
right. I mean, yeah, I could see potential problems.
Maybe my baby's growing a little bit faster. Maybe it's growing a little bit slower. Is that an option? Is that a possibility? Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe your baby is just a swole dude or a swole girl.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so I'm really interested in that, and I'm sure some people are too. And I mean, it's not something people usually bring up. If you want to have a baby at home, what's a starter pack? Get a midwife?
Yes, you can get I would say get a midwife, a seasoned midwife. Ours did I want to say hundreds and hundreds of births. Super knowledgeable. Get a midwife, a really good midwife that you have a plan. Like we had a plan in case there was an emergency. If there was an emergency, we needed to go. We would go. Of course, I'm not going to say I'm going to let my wife die in our living room.
Right.
We have a overall plan. She examined us and checked up on us and did wellness checks, and it was just a beautiful experience. What happens is the baby will be born. If you have a good midwife, she'll handle the paperwork for getting your social security cards and birth certificate, so on and so forth. So she had it all ready for us. We filled it out. She handled it for us. Cost-wise, it's going to cost between probably $2,000 and $4,000. I believe ours was right around $2,500, maybe $3,000 at the most, which is a fraction of the hospital. We're in the comfort of our home. My wife got right in bed. Our baby was in our tub, right afterwards. It was just, I can't say enough good things about it. What I will say is I did get a little stressed out and we joked about it afterwards, but during the time I was a little stressed, maybe even a little bit heated. But the midwife had two assistants with her that were training to be midwives. And my wife is going into intense labor. I mean, she is screaming, like she was having contractions. It was getting to the point where and I'm like, I feel terrible. And I'm like, should we do anything? Or because I look over on the couch, the two of them are on their phones, and the main midwife, she's just knitting. She's freaking knitting.
And so don't you hate that?
And my wife is in the tub, getting into it. And I'm like, should we do anything? And she just looks at me. I'll never forget what she said. She said, no, your wife will tell us when she's ready to push, and then goes back to knitting. Just total faith and total knowing that it's all natural and this or that. And I'm like, okay. And sure enough, she did. My wife's like, I feel like it's time to push. And she's like, okay. She looked, she's like, yep, we can see the head. Well, my wife had to push for 3 minutes. It probably seemed like an eternity to her, but
right. Okay. So no, I mean, that's something that would bother me too, especially when I've been in the hospital and I visited loved ones. I know they see it all the time. And also when I was on my EMT clinicals, people would just be screaming either in pain or whatever, and they'd be on their phone. And I mean, we went to pick up this lady in the ambulance when I was on my EMT clinical, and there was this lady who was just crying, like, oh, I'm already hurting. Why are you hurting me more? And the guy was like showing off his biceps to the nurses, literally. They're like, oh, you're pretty jacked. He's like, yeah, I've been hitting the gym. And I was trying to comfort her. I'm sure they see it all the time, but that's definitely something that's infuriating.
Well, yeah, but there was nothing that we could do for her. We weren't giving her drugs.
I get it. But
they weren't in that situation. They weren't doing anything wrong at all.
No, I mean, I understand that, but I understand why you get heated because you.
Yeah, I was like, what are y'all? Can y'all at least go pat her back?
Well, if you're on the clock, why are you on your phone? That's one thing.
Yeah, they was totally fine though. They said we're just sitting here waiting, and they were there for 9 hours. So I get it.
I get it.
They're just sitting there waiting until my wife says, hey, I'm ready to push. As soon as she, and in their defense, as soon as she was ready, they were like on it. They were on it.
Okay, yeah. So right on, good for them. I was just partially kidding. So other than a midwife, and you want to work with a midwife pretty much as soon as you know you're pregnant, I'm guessing, right? Just so you get to know them.
Yeah, we found one we were probably quite a ways down. We were probably at least we were close to the end of the first trimester, I think, by the time we met with her.
Okay.
But yeah, she'll work with you throughout your entire pregnancy.
Okay. Okay. And well, no, I mean,
very well. It's not. I think sometimes people think it's just like a lady that comes to your house. Like, they are very well educated. They know about the birthing process. They know about the body. They know their anatomy. They know their medical stuff if they need to. If it's an emergent situation, like they check to see how dilated she was and checked everything. So they were great.
Okay, so, good. And do you need anyone else, or the midwife handles the majority, if not all of it?
Nope, she handled everything. We didn't see a medical doctor.
Great. Well, okay. No, I mean, before we close out, and thank you for doing this, by the way. Then it's been over an hour.
No problem. No problem. We kind of went down some rabbit holes a little bit, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, that's how it always happens. That's why I said we're very casual, very broad, and we're about to go down one final one. But no, that was very informative on everything. Thank you very much. Now I kind of feel like I need to visit a chiropractor, and I didn't before, so that's how marketing.
You do.
I do. Yeah, I do.
When you have some time to come up here and visit, we'll take good care of you.
I would love that.
When you can break away, man, get up here.
Yeah, that'll probably be. I mean, unless we like really, really need something, it'll probably be after my mom heals or whatever happens. So I hope and pray that that's when she heals, and she's like, get out of the house. And I'm like, oh, she's like, I hate you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's like that's what I want to hear, because that's how she is. I mean, when I was a kid, there was a guy who was crying because his mom called him stupid. I was like, that's stupid is my name to my mom. That's just how she is. So yeah.
No, but so you said we're about to go down one more thing. What do you want to chat about?
Well, I wanted to bring that up. It was you mentioned God, you mentioned spirituality. How does that relate to your practice, and how do you think it relates to chiropractic, medical care, so on and so forth? I know it's a big rabbit hole.
Yes, I'll try to keep it brief. Okay. It's very so it comes into my philosophy because I believe you can subscribe to this whether you believe in evolution or anything. That's kind of the cool thing. But I believe God designed your body perfectly. You can believe it evolved perfectly, whatever, perfectly, and that your body was designed to heal, and it can heal. It just needs the right things. And I attribute that to the way we were designed by God. People attribute it to other things, but I think we can have that common ground that your body was designed to function perfectly, and that we mess it up. And with all the crap that we do to it. As far as personally, I know. So I was actually just talking about this morning with somebody. Is I think about my life and the way it played out, and just me sitting at this desk right here in my clinic. One or two little things different, I wouldn't be sitting right here. And I mean just little things. So I think that comes from a higher power. I don't think that and that was meant to be, and that didn't happen by chance. It didn't just randomly happen to me. It just it was God's will for my life. When I realized with chiropractic, I was going through chiropractic school, and a lot of people that I went to school with. Here's honestly why I went to chiropractic school. I'm just honest, vulnerable guy. I went to chiropractic school because dental school wasn't going to work out. I was going to have to move twice, and I could have got it. I could have did it, but I was going to have to move twice. I didn't want to be away from my daughter. Me and my ex in Mountain Home had split, and I didn't want to move twice away from my daughter. So I started looking at other doctor programs that I had been into natural health and wellness and this and that. I looked at chiropractic, and I was like, can I help people and do really well doing this? And I was like, yep, all right, that's what I'm doing. So I kind of made the Little did I know it was God's will playing out in my life. I was going through chiropractic school, didn't know why I was there, didn't really have a mission, didn't have a purpose. I'm like, I'm just going to get out of here, start a clinic, and just help people and make a lot of money. But I was going to school with all these people that like, oh yeah, I've been seeing a chiropractor my whole life, and I was missing an arm, and he adjusted me, and it came back, and then I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor, and then I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor and help all these other people without arms. Like, I feel like everybody like had this story that I didn't have, and I felt like I just like didn't belong there. And so then, but I kept going to seminars and learning and this and that, and I'm sitting at the seminar, and I have to pause right there sitting at the seminar. So I won't go into my whole life story, but I have a very kind of rough upbringing and a lot of tough things in my past. Some bouncing house to house, living with people, some homelessness, sleeping in woods, not having food, it's okay. A foster home at one point for a short time, being listed as homeless by my high school, really, really rough upbringing. And I always had this issue with it and this chip on my shoulder and this internal anger, from all that stuff. I'm not going to get into it specifically because it doesn't matter. But I am sitting in this seminar, and this guy is like kind of pouring out his heart about your purpose and your mission and your why. And all of a sudden, my life just like flashed before my eyes. Like, I thought I was about to die. Like, my whole life just kind of all the bad, but it was all the bad stuff. It was like, I had like the me sleeping in the woods and me sleeping in cars and bouncing around house to house. And it was just like, it was just all flashing in my head. And then it was like, I had this clarity, and it was from all that stuff that you went through, it molded you for the future purpose that God had for you. And I was just like, oh, that's it. Like, and I just started like, I'm sitting in the seminar, I'm there with like my buddies, and like I just start like just crying, like, and and just like bawling, and I'm just sitting there, just tears just rolling down my face. There's like hundreds of people around me. I'm like trying to make sure nobody sees me, because I'm big Mr. Tough Guy. But I had realized that all that negative just crap and junk was essential for the cascade of what was about to happen in my life in just a few years, and that I had to go through that stuff. I'm not saying the scars are gone, the scars are still there, but I had to go through that stuff to get to where I am now. And it was part of the playing out into my life. So I encourage anybody that's going through stuff. It's hard to see it as you're going through it, but as cliche as it sounds, is you're going through something for a reason. And if there's going to be another door and opportunity open, because of it, but you have to, open your mind, to that.
Right. Well, as long as you're still alive, life goes on. You have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way. No, and
that's kind of how it played into my business and chiropractic and stuff, was realizing that's why I went through this stuff, because I love to help people. I love working with my hands. I love business entrepreneurship and just changing people's life and health, and that kind of all encrypted was chiropractic, and all that crap that I had to go through got me ready for that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that even adds to the stuff I was saying at the beginning. I didn't know some of that about you, but that's absolutely contributes to the fact that you are a success story, as I think, because some people go through that. Well, I mean, I feel like you can help more, and you can appreciate it more because you went through that. Whereas if you were just a trust fund baby and you didn't go through it and you became that, you would have a different, even if you were still a very good person, you have a different outlook on life, and the people that you talk to might resonate less with you because they feel like you didn't go through the same trauma you did.
Right.
So no, that's good. And I mean, I consider myself a Christian too, non-denominational. But I mean, there's some people who are going to listen to this who aren't Christian. I don't think we have any Satanists listening yet. If they have, they haven't revealed themselves to me. But there are some atheists, and so what I try to do is instead of, it's kind of like how we were talking on the call before this about some political stuff, but I try not to segregate myself too much. I try to find the common ground with people. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, these two guys are crazy. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
God's not
I'm
real.
listening. I'm gonna send a quick text. I'm still listening, but I'm gonna send a quick text.
No, go on, go for it. And some people might think, well, this is crazy. I don't believe in God. I believe in evolution. This is science. You know, I believe in the sun, and then there's the moon, and then there's the earth. That's, you know, I try to those people. I say, well, you know, I can see what you mean, and if you have trouble believing in a predetermined plan, if you have trouble believing in like God's design, I would say, well, it's possible to coexist. What do you think with a plan? Like, I mean, God may, like for them, God may have worked through evolution. That may be how He created a perfect design.
Right.
Because I mentioned, like, if an old lady needs someone to mow her yard because the city is charging her like $30 every week because she can't mow her own yard, and she's praying to God, God's not going to float over a lawnmower and then just cut the grass and this is magic. No, right. he's gonna. You can usually observe God's processes. You know, He'll send someone over and they can help. So with these other observable processes that they reference to refute God, it can also be part of their processes. So if someone's listening and they're having trouble digesting some of that, that's what I would usually tell them, because I try to find common ground with people.
That's the biggest thing that I get question-wise is, well, if there's a God, why does He let this happen? Why does He let that happen? Why does He let this happen? Two things is there has to be bad for there to be good. But second, some of that stuff is not from God. Sickness, right. Disease, bad things, and this and that. Does He know what's going to happen and you know that it's going to happen? Yes, but that's not of Him. That's of the world.
Right. And I mean, we kind of look at things a little bit too black and white. I mean, when we say that there's bad and there's good, well, first of all, I mean, what reference point do we have? I mean, God might be making everything infinitely better. I mean, our lives might be suffering or not. I mean, we have no frame of reference. And second of all, I don't believe humans, the way we're designed, can subsist in a way that someone might consider perfection. Well, I think we need to go from A to B. You know, so for some people it's like this. For some people it's a mile. But like we need to go from, we need to feel like we need to move. That is perfection for us. And in order to move, there has to be a reason. And for there to be a reason, there has to be some kind of problem, adversity. Some people go through some very tough things, and I'm very sorry for that. But I feel like imperfection is perfection in a way. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. Is there anything else you want to mention?
I don't. I think we've covered it and some.
Yeah. Well, it's Dr. Ryan Warren, Warren Family Chiropractic. He's in Northwest Arkansas. Where exactly are you located if someone wants to find you?
Rogers. We're in Rogers, and we are right by the Walmart amphitheater. It's where everybody goes for the concerts. You can basically see it out my back window here.
Okay. If they want to plug it in their GPS, what's the address? I'll post it too.
Yeah, 4805 West Highland Knolls Road, Suite 200 in Rogers, Arkansas. Our phone number is, the clinic is 479-372-7708. You can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook at Warren Family Chiropractic, or I also have a public figure page. It's just Dr. Ryan Warren.
Okay. And you also have a website, right?
Yeah, www.warrenfc.com.
Okay. Well, that's good. Check him out. If you're in Northwest Arkansas, Ryan's a good dude. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to mention some things to you, and then we'll hang out.
Okay. Sounds great.
Stop. Let's see. You want to stop cloud recording?